Hey, this is a Three Monkeys quick hit, a continuation from the pedalboard build we were working on yesterday. Where I left off last time was going to start on this loop box, which was going to be a 5-loop passive box with some LED illumination, maybe even surrogate DC supplies for help routing to the pedals a little bit easier. So just kind of wanted to give you some ideas again of what I'm using, how I like to do things, and maybe you'll find some of this stuff useful. I know there are guys out there that do this for a living, so they may be watching this and thinking, that guy's an idiot. But you know what? I'm an amp builder. I'm not really a loop box, but this is, pretty much simple stuff here. So I like doing things myself. It's a lot of fun, and I think you'll find it easy too. And once you get a couple of ideas under your belt, a couple of basic principles under your belt, I think you'll find that you can handle all this kind of stuff yourself with considerable ease. So I'm going to talk to you about the stuff, first of all, that I like to use. And I got all this stuff from Small Bear. I like doing business with them. I've done business with them before. You can also get it from, there's a great place out on the West Coast for some of you guys out there. It's called Bitches Love My Switches, and they've been really good with us, and I really like those folks too. We got a couple of former New Yorkers there too, which I am myself. But I'm going to show you sort of the things I've got. So as I said before, this is their Hammond loop box. It's a nice aluminum case here. Plenty of room for putting what you want in there. This stuff's real easy to drill. There's really no problems with using hand drills and getting really good results. The components that I like to use, I'll go through. First and foremost is one of these guys, and this will obviously be a very common sort of item that guys that build these sort of boxes have lying around, and it's a double pole triple throw switch. And what that basically means is it allows you to switch 3 different things in and out on a double pole. And that way you can do a true bypass and LED illumination. You'll use 2 of these sections for your bypass, and you'll use 1 of these for LED illumination. So going to LED illumination, we've got these guys here, which are the bezels for mounting your LEDs, and they make things look real nice. They secure everything great, and you'll end up with a professional looking product. You can use the little plastic stuff-in ones in a pinch. I always have problems with them falling out, kind of getting knocked in, and then you got to open up the box and stick it back in again, and it'll drive you nuts. So I would just recommend going with a nice, metal bezel like this with a little nut on there and a little lock washer. The other thing which I really like is this kind of a jack. Now this is what's known as a Lumberg jack, and the reason why I like it, well, first of all, I should say it's not isolated. So if that's a problem for you where you need your grounds isolated, you may want to, if you're going to use these, get some plastic washers, over drill your hole, and you can isolate that way. But the reason why I like these is they have a very low profile, very small footprint. And when you're dealing with small boxes like this, a little a little jack like this really helps compared to a large switchcraft that you might find in a Fender amp, or a large insulated plastic jack like you'd find in a Marshall. That tends to take up a lot of room. I also have some LEDs. I think I might have gotten these, I don't know where I got these. They're probably Mauser or something like that. I just found them in my box. I think they're going to light red, but we'll find out later. Either way, it doesn't really bother me too much. The other thing I've got here is some hookup wires, some different colors. I got some gray, I got some orange, I got some black, you need black, some purple, a little funk on there. And these are small gauge, they look like 22. Yeah, I think that's 22 gauge, so it's going to not be a huge cluster in there, so to speak. It's nice and neat. It's also fairly formable as well, like the Three Monkeys cable is formable. Should put that back out again. The Three Monkeys Solderless system, very formable cable. We'll be using that later. So we got our wire. Let's see what else we've got. We've obviously got a wrench for fastening our switches on there, wire strippers, wire cutters, just a small needle nose. Also, we've got you may not have one of these, but if you're doing this sort of work, get yourself a good meter. You know, it's got a bunch of different things that are useful, but for this, one of the useful things is what's called a continuity. And it's an alarm basically when you've achieved continuity when the two touch. So that helps you decipher on these switches what terminals are related to what. So you can kind of get in there and, okay, now we know that that's one connection made. Hit it again, and let's see where the next connection is made. All right, so we know that they're aligned in this sort of vertical pattern here. So these are useful that way. Also great for, you know, measuring your DC when you're doing your illumination. And I should say this, there's really 3 kinds of meters you can get, and those are fluke, and fluke. So that's a plug for fluke. I've used them my whole life, and they'll last forever, and they're accurate. They don't do the cheap meter boogie when you've got a little bit of an inductance problem. So go with a fluke. That's what you want. A very important thing that I think will save you a lot of headaches is paper. Get yourself some paper and draw out what you want to do, what you want to achieve from these pedals. Make yourself some simple schematics, just so you know that this is in fact going to work, so there's not a lot of, oh my God, what did I do wrong, when the whole thing's together and it doesn't work. So here you can see I've laid out sort of a basic signal flow, the rigs that I wanted, and we'll let the cat out of the bag. We're basically trying to do all the different Van Halen sounds for my year from 1 to 1984, which are my favorite tones. So we've laid all that out on paper. Now the next thing I like to do too, which is important, is when you're drilling this stuff and marking this stuff out, I like to use just some simple blue tape. And what I'll do is just kind of coat the whole box in this blue tape. And what that allows for is, you know, for easy getting it stuck on everything on your table, but it allows you to draw on the box without really drawing on the box. So if you want a hole there, you're going to mark it, you're going to mark it, you're going to mark it. Now, I'm not going to do this freehand, and that's why I also recommend you get yourself, pop on down to Office Max or wherever, Staples, get yourself a clear ruler, something like one of these 18-inch guys, so you can sort of see what's underneath it as well as lay things out. And I also like to use a precision square. I've got this Graz thing that I've had for a number of years. I've mostly used in Lutherie or sometimes when I'm doing a chassis prototype. It's very accurate. It's not too clumsy to have in your hands as opposed to like a big framing square, which will be real floppy. So this is really handy for making sure, you know, that you're going to have everything in a line. And the cool thing is you can also use this in combination with this. So you can kind of get yourself squared up, square up your ruler to that, and now your ruler is also square. So that's another little trick that you got with those. So basically the keys here are planning. Know what you want to do. Then draw down something that you can sort of rework if you make a mistake with the tape on there. See, I've already laid these out by hand. That's not what I'm going to do. So all I got to do is just peel this tape off, wrinkle it up, and chuck it on the floor. And that'll get stuck to my sock later. So I hope you found some of this interesting, and I'll probably be giving a couple of ideas as I go through building this Switchbox. But as I said, don't forget to check us out. That's 3 Monkeys Solderless. 3 Monkeys Solderless. Thanks for watching, and I hope some of this was informative.